because you know how entrepreneurship gets very played up nowadays.
Yeah.
Like it's very, very,
Yeah.
very much like wow, be an
It's many
entrepreneur, quit your
industries are
job.
like this. Yeah, it's like if you think of entrepreneurs, it's always like in your mind is Mark Zuckerberg, getting a billionaire in the year 25, and so this happens, this exists, and it's
Of
like
course,
casual thinking. It's like why relatives don't want their kids to be actors or singers because
is that
they know that 99% chance these actors would work in a theater, for very little salary with very little audience. Of course, there are like
yeah,
Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise and Angelina Jolie and stuff. Just a
exactly.
few
It's
of
like
them.
it's a cognitive bias. Ultimately, I remember that when I was first starting with anything related with
Hmm.
businesses, I got quite disappointed because you get really played up in the whole idea that you just do these couple things and
Hmm.
great success comes your way, whatever. But that's not the truth, and
We
ultimately, it makes
over,
people unhappier.
yeah,
What's that? I'm a little.
yeah, we over in this kind of
Exactly, exactly,
mystery.
and I don't think that's good because ultimately it makes people unhappier, and I think that if you are going to go into something like business or like anything you do,
Hmm.
if you want to be a doctor, if you want to be a scientist, whatever you do, I think that it's important to go with a realistic idea of what that's going to.
Yeah, that might save actually a lot of tears, when people are not in their dreams anymore, right? If when they know it needs a lot of work and a lot of effort and a lot of things, then maybe only those would likely to start that really need, really have, really ready to do this. Not just those who like once I was in a taxi going to the airport in Moscow, and the driver was like telling me, oh, like he came from some small city to Moscow, and he's a driver now, but he wants to make like his business. He wants to be like rich. And I asked that, okay, but what can you do, or what kind of business would you like? And I don't know. Yeah, it will just come. It will come soon. And but how would it come? And then he said, oh, I have to meet someone. I have to get into the stream, and then somehow eventually I would get some opportunity. And he was speaking like I don't know, like
Like it's just gonna fall from the sky.
yeah, just flying somewhere in his dreams. And but he was so enthusiastic that because he did not know, I mean, what it takes.
For sometimes for people that do just business, it's a bit harder because one thing I realized in my small business experience that I've had is that we don't tend to socialize too much with the competition.
Yeah.
We tend to vilify them to an extent. It's like the competition, they're so bad, but we're so much better. Like we can crush them. It's like at least that's the mentality of like that we take very competitive. But I find that in a place like YouTube, it's utterly social. It's not a zero sum game.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Absolutely.
it's
I
like
agree.
if someone's gonna spend half an hour watching someone, they're gonna spend half an hour watching you too. They're not
Mm-hmm.
going to decide. And that probably talks about a larger issue that we got in as a consumer society, but it's not a zero sum game. So you need
Mm-hmm.
to socialize. You need to make friends. Like you can't just be an antisocial creature on the internet just because you're uploading videos from your room. You still gotta make friends, and you still gotta meet nice people. And if this is going to be your line of work, or at least for the time being, you're going to make your line of work. The best thing you can do for your mental health and for your well-being and the well-being of others as well is to socialize and make friends. Be nice to other people and even hang out outside of like the whole. I'm not. I I'm not gonna say any names whatsoever,
Okay. Okay.
but I've seen a lot of like business channels that make videos about how to grow a Shopify store from $0
Mm-hmm.
to 15,000
Mm-hmm.
revenue, which doesn't mean anything, but revenue in 1 month time,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the video itself is nothing. It's nothing really. There's nothing of value.
Mm-hmm.
The person is just saying, "Yeah, I start the store, I make it, and then I run ads, and then people buy." It's the same thing that you couldn't find in the first search result of Google, you know. But they make it in a way that they're so high energy that they phrase things so and so that when you're watching the video, you feel like this is the secret to Valhalla. This is I'm watching something that no one else has ever watched. I'm getting the secret. And when you finish the video, you didn't get nothing. You didn't get anything. You didn't learn anything in particular. You gotta loosen up your morals a little bit.
In what way? I mean, what kind of morals do they lose up? What kind of rules?
Well, the reason why I say that you gotta loosen up your morals is because there's nothing wrong with getting people pumped up. You have to get people pumped up. Otherwise, no one's gonna ever do anything. If you don't want someone wants something, they're never going to take action in any sort. But they have to loosen up their morals because the stuff that they make doesn't equate to the amount of pumping up that they're doing. So, for example, I'm gonna make a video about how to make 6 figures in revenue in 6 months' time, right? And I'm gonna record it in such a way that it gets people really fired up about it, and people subscribe and like and buy my course. That's a big thing. Buy my course. The latter part is not bad. The bad is with the former part because multiple reasons. First of all, that revenue could easily be faked. Secondly, you can just churn money at Facebook and you're gonna get that revenue. But the problem is that none of them talk about net profits. The problem is that no one ever talks about what ends up in the pocket. So the reason why they might be getting that revenue is because they're spending a lot in marketing and they're dropping the prices so much that it's basically the same price that they bought the product at. And they're not disclosing this.
Yeah, but I don't think that people are really that stupid. I mean, if there are these people who are so stupid.
You'll be surprised.
Really?
You'll be surprised. You will be so surprised.
You know, what do I think about these tricks? Well, certainly for me, it's no go with all kinds of dishonest manipulation, you know, fake stories, you know, when you show up some figures, you know, huge revenues, having no profit, or even, you know, like lying about your, I don't know, incomes, status, or whatever you have. I think just because of one simple reason. There are so many ways in this world to earn money, you know, honestly. I mean, why should I bother, you know, doing it dishonestly? It's only for people, I guess, who don't believe in themselves, who don't have enough like self-esteem, and they think, oh, you know, it's so difficult to do it honestly. Oh, it's all the niches are taken. Oh, it's just for those smart guys, not me. And then they come to this conclusion that only the fake or criminal ways, you know, they would make sense for them because all the rest is taken or very hard. Well, I don't like direct marketing as well. It's not a bad idea, not a bad business, but when you cannot really control the product, when you cannot have much effect, you know, when you cannot change the product much, you can use different ways how to sell it, but you can't. The product is given to you. That's a limitation. I mean, not necessary limitation. I mean, it's maybe for those who don't believe in themselves that they can create one, they can find somebody to partner, you know, to be more flexible with the product.
Yeah.
But also I realize it's good for some people to start, you know, when they have just zero experience in business, to start for some time, you know, selling some others products, and then just to acquire these skills, you know, presentation skills, sales skills.
Definitely. I don't think any of them are bad business models. They're all good business models. There's a reason why they're so popular. The problem lies in the fact that they're so popularized.
Yeah, well, of course, they need a lot
the
of
thing
followers.
that everyone does, and the reason why these people pick it is not because they came to the conclusion that it's a good business idea or that they came to the conclusion that it's a thing that they want to do or that they have a good skill set for. The problem is that they picked it because it's the first result in Google.
Well, I believe it is. I believe, contrary to what you say, it is their conclusion, it is their choice, because that's their conscious decision. Even it was the first choice of Google, it was the most loud guy talking about this, but nevertheless, I mean, they make this decision, they take this responsibility, they try it out, maybe it works for them, maybe it does not. They are responsible for all the money they spend all the time.
That's true.
I think at the end of the day, it's their decision. Because they were
it's 100%,
unless they are cheated, you know, when they are promised to, I don't know, some crazy stuff, and they don't get it, and they cheated. Of course, then they did this decision, under this is criminal, under in a way under this
No, it's definitely
mistreatment.